Welcome to Interesting Enough. He is Trey. I am Nolan. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. This is your first time listening to the podcast. Thank you. And you picked the right time to get to the podcast. We got our NBA preview show, and we got our special guest back. It's been a while since we had him. Couldn't get both of our guests. We missing Jesse, but we got JP back. JP, man, what's going on? How you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm great. It's great. NBA season about to start. I'm happy, man. Let's talk about it.
Let's get it, man. Thanks for showing up once again. Trey, man, what's going on? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the best time of the year. We have college football, professional football, and now college basketball and the NBA coming on. Like, this is the best time of the year.
Absolutely, man. We've been waiting to do the preview for a while. I know we stand by our predictions and stuff like that from last year. I'm not going to bring up old prediction. I'm not going to bring up old stuff.
You can bring up mine because I wasn't that far off.
Trey had Denver and Boston in the finals last year, so he had one of the. He was actually the only person that had Denver. So all of us, me, JP, and Jesse, we was all wrong. So we stand by it, just the same way we stand by the player tiers that I did last year. And I got some real flack about that, particularly by Jesse. So thankfully he's not here because he the main one don't even let me finish. So we got the player tiers. We're gonna get into that. We also gonna get into some overachievers that we think is or some overachieving players and teams this year. And then also we're gonna of course do the MVP picks as well. So stay tuned for all that. But first, we decided the best way to do this was just to go ahead and start it with the player tiers, right? Because it took me a while to crack this one down, y'all. So I try to do it in the best way possible. Y'all follow me, JP. Y'all follow me, Trey. I shouldn't have told Trey because he got annoyed, but it's basically going to end up being around 50 players. Okay, it's going to be around 50 players. So let's start from the bottom first. That way we can get it out the way. All right. So I'm gonna go, y'all, with just some quick honorable mentions. Okay, so these are guys that just didn't make the list, and not really for whatever reason, but guys that are just really good. So that's Tyrese Maxey, Chris Middleton, McCollum, Zach LaVine, and Cat. I'm assuming no issues there from any of y'all.
Nah.
7? No? Okay, so we got 7 tiers. We're going to start from 7, going up to 1. Trey, my first title, tier 7. We've been talking about Dion on the pod, the last couple of months, right? So I figured the best way to title tier 7 is Dion's favorite phrase now, we coming. We coming. What Dion says every time, y'all better get us now because we coming. Tier 7 is we coming. So these are players that I think are on the come up, that are just on the bottom of the tiers, but they should be moving their way up. So I got Paolo, LaMelo, Wembanyama, Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, Kate Cunningham. Any issues with that? Any gripes with that?
Yeah, Paolo, LaMelo, Wemby,
Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan
J.
Mobley.
And the only one I have an issue with is, I guess, it's Cade, and the only issue I have with him is we just really haven't seen him, so it's kind of.
So that's a fair argument. I guess I'm doing it in more of a projecting kind of way. I feel like he's going to be on this list. So
I'll live with that one then. I just wanted to have that clarified because I was like, we haven't seen enough. I don't think to put him there, but okay.
And to be fair, I think he's going to end up being on higher than some of these guys on the list. But like you said, we just haven't seen it, so it wouldn't be fair if I put him up ahead of other guys. All right, let me get to tier 6 because I feel like this is the one where we're going to have a little bit of gripes. Tier 6 is a pretty much an easy list for me. It's we need one. When we go to LA Fitness, we go to Trey, you at 24-hour fitness hooping a couple times a week. When you show up by yourself, somebody got downs, what do you usually say? You're like, hey, we need one. Hey, y'all need one? Y'all need one? Yes or no, whatever, right? So this is what this is called. We need one. So these are guys that they really show me something. Like at some point in the year, maybe for long stretches, they showed me something. But the key is, can you do it again? And I even put them in 2 different categories. Some of these guys, we need one because some of them are too young. So those guys that are too young, Mikal Bridges, Tyrese Halliburton, Lauri Markkanen, Darius Garland, and Zion. All guys that are young.
You already know where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah, I think they're all below 25. We've all seen all those guys that I've said so far are all good. We've all seen them play really good stretches of basketball, but we just got to see it again for whatever reason. Mikal Bridges, Tyrese Halliburton, they got on new teams, new situations. They played well, but we got to see it again. Lauri Markkanen, same thing. New team, new situation, played well for 1 year. We need to see it again. Darius Garland, interesting one. He played well 2 years ago. Kind of took a step back this year just with Donovan Mitchell. So we got to kind of find out this year, are you really that guy or are you somewhere in the middle? And Zion, whatever you think about his injuries or whatever he does off the court, we know that he played excellent basketball when he's in the game. And then the second half of this tier, Trey, before you get back on it, these are the guys that are old. So these guys have played well before, but I haven't seen it in a while. So I just got to see one more. And that's Jrue Holiday, Bradley Beal, and Chris Paul. Jrue Holiday, he's not super, super old, but he did take a step back last year. We got to see it again with a new team with Boston. Bradley Beal. Y'all know the last time Bradley Beal really put up big numbers, probably like 3 years ago. I don't know if y'all really noticed this, but we got to kind of see this again. He's been injured in and out of the lineup. And Chris Paul, we know he's one of the oldest players in the league. But the last time we've seen him on the court in meaningful basketball, he has played well and contributed to a team. So that's my tier 6. Trey, what's the issue, man? What's the issue? What's the issue and why is it Zion? Go ahead, man.
You already know where I'm going. I love what he's able to do on the court, but I think he just missed so much time that it's just hard for me to put him on a tier. I mean, on this list, like on a tier at all.
So do you think he'd be in an honorable mention or just not in it? Because these are really top 50 guys.
We know he has the talent to be on there, and when he's there, he produces to that level. But again, he just hasn't played enough games over the last 4 or 5 years, however long he's been, where I think you have to put him on the honorable mention until given further notice.
Here's my pushback.
He's only 3 years in.
No.
Right?
He's 1 to 3 years in now.
Okay, so he's going to year 4? He's going to year 4, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe year 4.
He came the year right before COVID.
Okay, but here's my pushback, and then I'll swing to you, JP. My pushback is, Trey, if you said to drop him a tier, he's better than Paolo, LaMelo, Wemby, Jaren Jackson Jr., Mobley, or Cunningham. From what we've seen, he's better than all those guys. So I can't put him on the same category because from what I've seen and from what I've seen from them, he is better than those guys when they're all playing.
I won't deny you that, but I mean, again, his first year he's only played like 20 games,
and the second year he played 65.
And how many games he played last year?
I mean, that's 1 year.
He might be better, but like, what's the best availability, and he lacks that. So
right,
even with his lack of ability, he's still better than everybody on the
right, and that's what I'm saying. If he's available, he's higher on the tiers. We can all agree on that. Because he's not available, I think that's why I put him on tier 6 and not maybe.
And that's why I would put him on honorable mention. So I guess we had the same idea, but you just put him a lot higher than I would. Put it that way.
Okay, fair. Okay, let's get into tier 5. Tier 5, we first of all, we just all went back and forth on tier 6. Tier 5 is actually appropriately named. It's no arguments here. That's what I call tier 5. When I name these guys on tier 5, I should be getting a little pushback. All these guys are really good basketball players. Some of them are even all-stars. Some of them have made all-NBA. It's kind of like good food. You know, somebody gives you some good food. You're like, hey, this tastes really good, but like something's missing. It's not my favorite of all time, but it's really good. I'm not going to complain if I have them on my team, but they kind of leave me something to desire. But expect exactly what you get. So these guys are a little bit longer of a tier. I got Jalen, and no, obviously these tiers are in no order, by the way, but I got Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, Domantas Sabonis, Bam Adebayo, Pascal Siakam, Jamal Murray, Julius Randle, and DeMar DeRozan. So all of those guys have put up big numbers, have been all-stars or all-NBA or both. I know exactly what I'm going to get from those guys. They're not guys that are going to basically carry the franchise or anything like that, but they all have moments where you're like, man, that guy's really good. And I'm like, he's not the best player on my team. Not the best player on the championship team or anything like that, but I'm happy to have on my team. Thoughts on that, Trey?
Honestly, I can't really disagree with that tier. I think you explained it well. The guys that are on there, I think they deserve to be on there. I really don't have a lot of pushback in that tier.
JP,
the highest paid player in tier 5.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
Jaylen Brown. But as far as just performance on the court, like no disagreements there in terms of these guys are all. We could probably all agree these guys are all really good players.
Yeah, really I think Jaylen Brown, regardless of what we want to say, I think he would be, if he was the number 1 on the team, I don't think that would necessarily be a bad team. I don't think he'd be a number 1 on a championship team, but I still think that would be a good team if he was the number 1 on any of our favorite teams.
Right. They're all really good players. Like, whatever you expect from them is probably exactly what you're going to get. You know what I mean? No better, no worse. We're all really good players. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Trey, about the number 1 player on the championship team, because that kind of leads me to tier 4. Tier 4, I call it the marquee. That's the star player. That's the guy on the. Y'all remember when you go to the movies and before you get in there, the movie posters, and you got a guy on the movie poster? These guys are the guy on the movie poster. They're not your superstars, but they're kind of worth buying a ticket to the game. Doesn't mean we're going to win the game, but they're kind of worth watching play. So this is a shorter tier. I got Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and I thought appropriately here I put Jalen Brunson. That one was the longest one I had to think about, but those are all guys that I consider not superstar players, but star players that are worth the price of admission, really good players. They're going to give you a good show. JP, I'll swing that one to you first. Anyone, when I said it right away, anybody that stuck out as maybe shouldn't be on that list?
It's Harden because I don't know if he's going to play.
I knew that was probably the one. I knew when I put this down, that was going to be the one that was always going to push back, which is fair, which is completely fair.
But I like him at tier 4, but I was like, where is he going to play at? He ain't going back to Philly. He is
right. Let's call that one. I'll put an asterisk by that one, pending if he plays. Trae, any one of those. Again, I'll recap it. Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Kyrie, Harden, Brunson. Any of those guys? Any issues? And Brunson was a late ad, by the way. So I'm surprised nobody's really pushed back on that. Brunson was a late ad, but I thought he did enough this past year.
No, I'll leave Brunson. It's the one I will have a kind of an issue with. Maybe is possibly Trae Young, just because we've seen that he brings a lot of chemistry issues, and I guess that same thing could be true for Kyrie Irving. But I think Kyrie just a little bit more talented of a player, so you might be willing to deal with it a little bit more. But Trae Young, he can be kind of ball hoggy at times. He can kind of take ill-advised shots. He really doesn't give you anything in the defensive end. Now, his scoring ability is great. He's able to get to the line. He's able to facilitate really well. So there's things that he does that really puts him in one of those top tiers. But there's other things in his game that is just non-existent. And aside of those non-existent points, again, he doesn't have the best reputation as being a good locker room guy per se. He's kind of almost got his early label as a coach killer early in his career. So he's the one that I might be kind of skeptical on, but it's not too much where I won't really argue with you on it.
And guess what? I'm glad you said that because he might be a coach killer, Trae. But guess what? We don't go to the games to watch the coach, do we? We go to watch Trae Young throw lobs and shoot 40-footers, okay? So this is the star power category. And by the way, nobody mentioned this, but you know what all those players have in common? Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Kyrie, Harden, Jalen Brunson. They're stars. There's no defense being played at anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, anywhere in tier 4, there's no defense being played. Okay, so we just talking about just stars. So I had to put them in a separate category because I also think I would take probably most of those guys, if healthy and everything, over the Jaylen Browns, Ingrams, Sabonis, and those guys. So I feel like they had to be above them. All right, let's swing to tier 3. So this is where it kind of gets a little bit more interesting. These are the top tier guys. So tier 3, I call this the bona fide star tier. You're an absolute star. Notice I'm saying the word star and not superstar. You guys know how I feel about that word. They're a star. They're the face of the franchise, right? If you have one of these guys, you're in a great spot. You're in a great spot. You got a great start to your team. You might need another piece, but the question with them is, as great as they are, can they be the best player on a championship team? We don't know. The list is as follows: Devin Booker, Dame Lillard, Ant Edwards, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Ja Morant, AD, and Shea. And real quick, I'm going to just quickly explain why, give you a sentence or two on each. Devin Booker, he's clearly the face of the franchise, but we really have never seen him do it by himself. They were a bad team. Dame Lillard, we have seen him carry a franchise, obviously, with Portland. Couldn't really win anything. Ant Edwards, we think he's going to be the guy that's the face of the franchise, but he's going to need some help. Paul George, we've seen him be the face of a franchise in Indiana. Also, common theme, didn't win anything. Same thing with Donovan Mitchell. Ja Morant, same exact thing. Face of the franchise, didn't really win anything. He's got obviously off the court issues. Anthony Davis, same thing. Been the face of the franchise, didn't win. And Shea, he had too great of a year not to put him at least on tier 3. And I think he can be a guy that's going to elevate past this. But for right now, I think tier 3 is pretty appropriate. Trey, I'll swing it to you first. Thoughts on that tier?
I will say this. Shea, he had a great year, and he's really been improving each and every year.
All NBA first team.
He did it. Am I being too picky if I said I just want to see one more good year though?
That's not too picky. What do you think, JP? Because I have a thought on Shea, but I want to hear yours first.
I like Shea because he's been playing on Oklahoma hadn't been terrible except for the 1 year which they was able to draft Chet. But he's been playing on a team that basically because he's there, they're kind of overachieving.
Yeah.
Are they?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, they're overachieving.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I think they caught a loss by surprise, but when you really look at some of the players they have, they're really talented. So like Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, I don't know if I would say overachieving. I think they surprised us.
Okay, but here's the thing about Shea. He actually has been really good for the past couple years. This past year, he just really took it to a different level.
Yeah, I would say last year was his first great year.
I would say 2 years ago he had a okay. Yeah, if you want to use the word great, that's fine. That's fine. I agree. I agree with that. But I'm saying at that point, if right now today he's just as good as Ja, he's just as good as Donovan Mitchell, he's just as good as Paul George. You know what I'm saying? Like if we go through the list of those guys, you can't definitively tell me that any of those guys are better than him. There's just no way. Maybe I'll hear you with Devin Booker, maybe, but that's maybe the only one. I can't definitively say as well as he is last year. I mean, when you watch the games, he's averaging 32 points a game, six rebounds, but 6 assists. But he's also getting to the line. He's also creating shots for others. Obviously, he's a really good defender too. I mean, he's basically and the sides at point guard, right? I mean, there's just so many things to like about him.
Plus, this World Games, he was the best player in the tournament.
That's a good point too. So I don't know, Trey. I got to push back on Shea, but in terms of the rest of the list, are you good with the rest of the list? Devin Booker, Dame, Ant, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, John Morant, AD.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's a list. You can't argue with. I mean, if you wanted to be, you say a couple of them maybe nitpicky, and then John Morant has his own off the court issues. If you really want to be nitpicky, but like just as far as on the court talent and what they would produce, yeah, I'm cool with that list.
And the job thing is kind of like the logic I said earlier. He's got the off the court thing, but we've already seen him be the face of the franchise for a couple years and play well. You know what I mean? So like we have that banked in already. So
yeah.
All right. We've entered now. I know everybody's been waiting on this. We've entered the top 10. This is tier 2. These guys, everybody that I'm going to name from here on out is a superstar. I'm going to discern what tier 2 is though. Tier 2 is a superstar, but ... Meaning you are a superstar, but there is something attached to that why I don't call you an undoubted superstar, which I'm going to get to in tier 1. So tier 2, you can easily be a part of the first tier, right? If everything goes right, you're a part of the first tier. And each of you have played like a tier 1 player for long stretches of time. So here's the tier. Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and LeBron James. Okay, that's the tiers, and I'll give you why. Kawhi, we know you're a superstar, but you got the injuries. Luka, we know you're a superstar, but can you really carry the team over the hump all the way with that style of play? Jason Tatum, we know you're a superstar, but the same thing. You've gotten teams in deep playoff runs, even to the finals, but when you were there, you didn't really finish the deal and you didn't really play as great as we expected. Jimmy Butler, we don't think of you as the traditional superstar, but we got to put you in this category because you continue to win and continue to get your team there despite the odds, but you also don't finish. And LeBron James, we know you're typically tier 1, but you just old as hell. Okay, that one goes without saying. All right, so that's the tier. That's the 5 guys. JP, how you feeling about tier 2?
As the resident LeBron fan, I do not like seeing him in tier 2.
I mean, he's 40 years old. What y'all want me to do? You put him in tier
I don't
1?
care if he's 50 years old. Until he is not playing, he is tier 1 in my mind.
Y'all crazy, man. Oh, the man is 40 years old. He got gray hair. You want me to put him on tier 1? Come on. Trey. I know you rock with LeBron. Back me up on this at least.
Yeah, no, I will put him in tier 2. I think he's at the edge of tier 2. Like he's kind of straddling tier 1, but he's definitely tier 2.
I did it off of respect. Off of purely respect. I could, because here's the thing. LeBron's 40 years old, but if you down to Devin Booker, Dame, Ant, Paul George, Donovan, we all still picking LeBron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was my whole thing. When I went through it, I'm like, I like Devin Booker in a vacuum. He's younger, but like if you telling me today I can have one of those two dudes, I like Devin Booker and all that, but like I'm still gonna go with LeBron. You know what I mean? Just with the impact that he has on the court.
But I have a bigger issue, not with the LeBron one on this one. It's the Kawhi Leonard. I'm so tired of putting.
I knew you got this problem with these players with the injuries. It's always you with these players that get Trey. It's not their fault that their body fails them.
Okay? And I'm not saying it's their fault, but because of that, they're not going to be high up in these tiers. We've been saying this for 3 or 4 years. Oh, Kawhi Leonard, he's the best player in the NBA. Look what he does in the offensive, defensive side of the ball. And then he only plays like 10 games. I'm tired of it, man. I'm over it.
So where does Lillard go then?
Thank you. That was gonna be my question.
Yeah, I would definitely put him in that Devin Booker, Shea Gilgeous, Alexander.
Get out of here! Stop that.
He doesn't play Nolan. He does not. He may play one game in the playoffs. One game. No, he doesn't deserve to be in tier 2. I don't care.
Okay, but that's okay. Here's my thing. The but is he is always hurt. Why he's a superstar
that's the end all be all.
No. But why he's a superstar is when he plays, he's better than everybody in tier 3.
So for them 3 games that he plays, he's better than everybody. Okay.
You understand in that. Okay, you acting like the man only played 3. I know. Okay, let's go with recency.
No, first of all,
he got hurt.
He got hurt, and then he load manages as well. Right, he only plays like 3 games.
What did he do in game 1 in the Western Conference semis? Or first round? Sorry.
Oh wow, game 1 in the first round. Did he even finish first round?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
But in that game 1, he had a better game than any of these guys had in the playoffs. That's why he's still a superstar, though.
Did he finish? Because he didn't even finish the first round, Nolan.
I'm talking about that's why he has the butt. That's why he has the butt.
And that butt needs to take him back to that tier 3.
So you want to put him at?
Come on.
You want to put him at tier 3 because of his injuries. I just feel like that's unfair. Because let me just ask a question.
Do you want to switch him with Paul George then? Like who we swapping him with, or switch him with Leonard? Like I wrote it down. I'm like, who we switching him with?
I ain't even gonna lie to you. I think I was switching with SGA, and I was sitting there kind of skeptical.
Oh my gosh! Okay, we gotta go. Stop that. Stop.
All
that.
right,
stop
top 5.
Stop.
No. Hold on. Time out.
You said SGA. Come on now.
I'm not gonna let y'all do this.
Top 5.
So you guys think when we take into account his injury history and his inability to play any kind of games worthwhile in the season, regular season and postseason, because you already know even if he's not injured, you got to do the load management games.
Yeah.
You would have him top 10 in the NBA.
Okay, can I just ask one question?
No. Hold on. Answer mine. Would you have a top 10?
You said if he's healthy?
I'll give him that he's healthy, but then you still got to take into account load management.
All right.
So
healthy with load management. Yes.
Yes. Let me ask this is my rebuttal to this, and this is a question for real. If Kawhi Leonard is healthy, like let's just say he's healthy this year, and plays like a general whole season, not
50 games,
but you know what I mean. Whatever. He's healthy and he plays some
65, so he can make an All NBA.
He ain't playing 65. Okay.
If he's healthy, can we
and
all
just
agree
do load management? He gonna play 65 games.
Okay, so for this example, for the question, if he's healthy, can we all agree he's a top 5-6 player in the league? Like not
top
close.
10.
6 through 10. 6 through 10.
Yeah, 6 through 10.
Okay. 6 through 10 would put him in this category. Here's my logic, and we're gonna get to tier 1 in a second. Kawhi Leonard could be on the tier of the next guys, and I'm sure we can figure out who I have left if he's just healthy. And because he's not in tier 1 is because of the health, and that's why I dropped him to tier 2. You get what I'm saying? So like I'm already assuming he's a tier 1 guy if healthy. So because he's not ever healthy, I'm put him in tier 2. I can't drop him 2 tiers.
But my thing is, okay, and I want to end. I'm gonna leave it alone. Couldn't we say the same thing about LeBron James? If he's healthy, he would be in tier 1.
No, LeBron James is 40 years old. It's not because he's not healthy. It's because he's old as hell. I'm sorry. Like we got to just call it what it is. LeBron is old as hell. It's not because he's not healthy. He's just old.
I'm being so serious. I don't think the gap between LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard at this point, if they're both healthy, is that great.
I'm moving on. You're getting ridiculous.
No, I really don't.
You getting ridiculous.
And Kawhi Leonard, his defense, his on-ball defense, has been really overrated the last 2 or 3 years.
And what's LeBron's on-ball Trey, you're going to make me get loud on this podcast. When the last time LeBron played?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. So I don't think the gap is that big because I don't think Kawhi is all that great in defense like he used to be.
You're right. Kawhi might not be all that great on defense anymore. LeBron literally is a horrible defender at this point in his career. Period. He ain't playing defense since he had a headband on.
He'll play defense when he needs to.
Okay, how'd that work out when he got cooked by Jamal Murray? Let me move on. Because we can do this the whole time. Let me get to finally tier 1.
Tier 1 is tier suck.
Tier 1. You was all good to the tier until I got to Kawhi. Everything was fine until I got to Kawhi. All right, tier 1 is obviously what we've been waiting on. These are the no doubt superstars. And you ask, what's a no doubt superstar? It's simple. We have you, we win. We have you, we're winning. Meaning we are going to get to the conference finals. You're a perennial MVP candidate, period. Here's the 5 guys. No particular order. Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Joel Embiid. That's the 5 guys. Now, I will say this. Joel Embiid is officially on the clock because I feel like that's going. I know Trey, JP, one of y'all was going to say it. Joel Embiid is on the clock. He hasn't got to the conference finals. He got his MVP year. Everybody acknowledges how great he is, but it's time for him to elevate, stay healthy, elevate the team to get greater. And I give him a little bit of a mulligan because Harden was so bad in that end of that Boston series. But it's time. Remember the same way Giannis was on the clock because he wasn't winning and then he finally won. And then Jokic was on the clock. And B's on the clock now. So those are my 5 guys. JP, I'm going to swing to you first. Any disagreements with those 5 guys?
I'm swapping LeBron with KD, and I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that.
Trey, you swapping LeBron for KD?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. I am.
All right, one of y'all give me what is the reason? I guess JP, since you brought up, what's besides your fandom, what's the real reason why you swap them? Like
we're gonna get to it later, but I think the Suns are overhyped.
Okay, all right. Trey, give me some real legit reasons why Kevin Durant will be dropped over LeBron.
Because at this stage, it's kind of what I said about Kawhi Leonard. I think their defense is pretty much on par. And then I think offensively, KD's a better scorer, but I think LeBron's still a really good scorer and a facilitator. So with those two things in mind, I think LeBron kind of gets the edge over KD.
You don't think Kevin Durant's a better defender than LeBron right now?
No. I mean, it's so close. Even if he is, we're splitting hairs at this point.
I mean, KD 25 ain't the same 25 from when he was even with the Warriors.
No, it's not. That's a great point. It's not the same 25. You're 100% correct.
Kevin Durant's also younger. Y'all forget how old LeBron is.
No. He's younger, but he's also had to get Achilles injury. And LeBron's been injury plagued, but he hasn't had a serious injury like that.
That's fair. But
Kevin, I have one other question.
Okay.
Before I want to go side note. Why is Steph Curry on that tier? Because
Trey.
He there.
Trey. Come on, Trey.
He there.
He lost in the second round last year.
They just won the championship 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm going off of what I saw last year. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I shouldn't even entertain this, but because you're on the podcast, whatever. Where would Curry be? You think he's tier 2?
Yeah.
You really think you don't think Curry's better than Kawhi, Luka, Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and LeBron?
I think he's better than them, but I think I think he's in that same tier. Or at least he's in the tier 1 because I have Giannis over him, I have Jokic over him, I have Embiid over him, and then. So
in your logic, a separate tier would be like Giannis, Jokic, like Embiid. Is that like that's one tier?
Yeah, that would be one tier, and I think Curry. I think he's close enough to that LeBron, that tier 2, where he's in that range.
Okay, so to be fair, if one tier by itself could just be Giannis and Jokic, right? Like we can probably say that's
where they're just like, okay, they're different.
Okay, and then like another tier would be what? Curry and Embiid, I guess. That's like another tier.
Curry and Embiid, and I think you could throw LeBron in there and Durant. Maybe I would put him in that tier 2.
Like you put all them, whatever order, in the same. So you're putting Durant and LeBron basically on the same level. You just said Durant's not above LeBron.
I think they're more similar. I think we're splitting here. So if you're going to put Durant in tier 1, then I think you have to put LeBron in tier 1 as well. I think
so. We argued about
the same tier. Let me put it
4 through 8.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. You're right, JB. Yeah, we're basically arguing about 4 through 8. But in a general sense, we basically all got the same 10 guys. I mean, it sounds like we basically
Top 10 is top 10.
I don't know about Kawhi, but okay.
So I'm just gonna say real quick, no pushback on Jimmy Butler. Y'all was giving me a hard time.
Jesse was giving you a hard time.
Oh, Jesse was giving me a hard time. Okay. Let me.
Jimmy has proven enough to me that he can coast through the season and then show up at the end and be like, "I'm better than everybody."
Yes, I don't second guess Jimmy Butler anymore. Like he's that dude.
Okay. So okay.
Permanent.
I thought that was gonna be the one. I'm sure I'm gonna have to hear about it from Jesse. But I thought that was gonna be the one. All right. Anyway, let's move on. We spent a lot of time on the tiers. We're gonna drop that so everybody can kind of vote on it and see why I was correct. I mean, this is very obvious. Don't listen to Trey. Trey's over here mad at Kawhi Leonard for whatever. Trey's really mad because the Clippers and the Lakers never gave him that series that he wanted to watch. That's why he's really mad. That's really why he's mad. He wanted that series back in the bubble. He never got that. So
First of all, I thought the Clippers were the better team, but I got tired of picking them. I'm like, oh, y'all can't hurt me.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so let's get into a couple of hitters for the season. So we got a couple categories we're going to get into, but I want to give it to JP first. What's the best acquisition of this year. So maybe somebody that for via trade or free agency, like that you think is maybe underrated or is going to make a huge impact on the year.
I'm gonna go with the Celtics picking up Drew Holiday because they lost everything that they needed out of Marcus Smart, and they picked him up plus a better shooter, plus an actual point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main problem with Tatum and Jaylen Brown need is an actual point guard that'll get them their touches. Now, I'm not saying Drew Holiday is the perfect fit for that, but he'll do that job way better than Marcus Smart would do it.
I think that's
you don't sound too high, Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
I do think highly of Marcus Smart, but as they made him a point guard, and he's not a point guard.
Yeah, he was a de facto point guard at that point. I mean, they didn't really have anybody else. It was basically like point guard by committee. Honestly, they ran the offense a lot better sometimes when Derek White was running that show, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I like that. I think Drew Holiday is a clear upgrade. That's why a lot of team contenders wanted him. So I like that pick a lot. Trey, what about you? Best acquisition?
At the end of the day, I think I just have to keep it simple. And I think the best acquisition is Damian Lillard going to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Not a bad pick.
The reason being, not just because he's a great player going to join another great player, but the Milwaukee Bucks, before that Damian Lillard acquisition, they were in trouble because, Giannis had started making some, I guess, comments where, he was just saying pretty much, I'm not opposed to leaving and I want to be able to compete and I'm going to do what's best for me. And they were under pressure to either fix this team and make it better or Giannis was going to possibly walk this summer. And I think the Damian Lillard acquisition, I think that will probably get Giannis to buy in and sign in for another long-term contract. But also, it just gives them a better chance of being able to compete and win the championship. I mean, I know they had won the championship with their core with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, but I think that was coming to an end. And I think that they needed another offensive punch. And I think that's exactly what Damian Lillard would give them. Now, I know this is going to tie into our championship picks later on, so I don't want to say too much, but I will say I still have a few concerns about that Milwaukee team altogether. So I'm not sure if they would be the favorite to win it all, but they are better than what they were last year.
Yeah, I also think certainly on paper, Dame and Giannis easily is the most complementary duo in the league. Whether you think they're the best or not, I mean, in terms of what Giannis does well and what Dame does well and their deficiencies, it kind of fits like a glove. You know what I mean? It's a perfect marriage on paper. We got to see how it fits, but it looks good. It definitely looks good. I'm going to go somewhere different, a little zag. I've kind of mentioned this before on the pod. I don't think this player is going to be like a star player or anything like that, but I really like Obi Toppin going to the Pacers. I think Obi Toppin, the best fit would be he needs to play with a playmaker and somebody that's going to throw him lobs, throw him catch and shoot threes. And really, Tyrese Halliburton is not just one of the best young playmakers in the league, but he's one of the best playmakers in the NBA, period. And we saw that the end of last year with Indiana, and we also saw that showcasing itself in the USA games. I mean, he was closing some USA games, even though they're Jalen Brunson, because they didn't want Jalen Brunson to dribble the air out of the basketball. They needed a guy to move the ball. So I think Obi Toppin is going to get a resurgence, and we're going to remember, why he was a top 10 pick to begin with, because I think the Knicks didn't really utilize him well because, again, speaking of dribbling the air out the ball, they got Julius Randle to do that. So there's really not a lot of space for Obi Toppin to play. So I'm going to go Obi Toppin there. Trey, I'm going to swing it back to you. Give me a breakout team this year that maybe we're not talking about, or maybe we talked about it a little bit, but you think that their ceiling's even higher.
Well, can I give out two of them?
No, you can give one, Trey. You can follow directions.
Okay, so
I'm
just
kidding. I'm just kidding. So, go ahead, man.
I don't care. So I was being nice, but I'm going to give out two. I might have to go. I have a personal bias, but I think the Orlando Magic. I think that Paulo Banchero, I think he's going to take another step this year. And I love what I've seen from Franz Wagner. I don't think the East is as deep as it has been in these couple of past years. I think they're top heavy, but I don't think it's quite as deep. So I think that this could be a play-in and playoff team. Now, I'm not saying that I would pick them to win the first round or to make any kind of serious run in the playoffs. But I just think that they're a team that everybody's kind of forgot about because they've been so bad over the last decade that people don't really pay attention to them. But I think they're on the right track.
I think real quick, and I'm swinging to JP. I think they go as Paolo goes. I think if Paolo takes that leap, Trey, I'm with you. But like if Paolo doesn't take that leap, they just don't go. They don't take that leap. You know what I mean? Like I think he's that important to what they got going on.
Yeah, and I can't debate that. No.
Yeah, that's my thing with the Magic. But Trey, before you mention your second team, I want to hear JP just in case he might cross over. JP, what was your breakout team?
We had kind of mentioned it before when you said about the Pacers. That was my thing. My only issue is, are they gonna keep what those two guys that keep trying to trade to LeBron?
Oh, Miles Turner and Buddy Hield.
If they can keep them
every single year,
like if you can keep them now that you got like Halliburton, I'm like like Trey already mentioned, like the East is very top heavy, but like that I would say 5 through 10, it's gonna be exciting. Mm-hmm. I like to see it, so I think the Pacers are gonna be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Trey, you had a second team. Go ahead, and then I'll go with my two.
Okay, my second team, I think we talked about them a lot, but I think we kind of understate how good they possibly could be, and that would be the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I love that.
They have the SGA. Like I said, they had Lee Dort. They had Josh Giddey. They had Chet Holmgren coming in, who I think is a really good player. And I think he's going to help out their defense tremendously. I'm really stoked on what they can do. Again, the West is really daunting. So I think that they could project themselves to be a better team than what their final record could indicate. Again, we have to go through Phoenix, we have to go through LA, both LA teams for that matter of fact. We have to go through Golden State. You're going to take some losses. But even in those losses, I think that they're going to be very close. They're going to be very competitive. And I just think that this is going to be one of the best up-and-coming teams. And when it's all said and done at the end of the year, I think this is a team that we're going to look back at and say, you know what? Maybe not next year, but 2 or 3 years from now, this is who we have picked that could be the next dynasty in the NBA, possibly.
Here's my only thing with OKC, though, Trey, because you mentioned at the end 2 or 3 years from now. I don't think they have 2 or 3 years from now because eventually with the new CBA, guys are going to have to get paid. And let's just project. I mean, Shai has a great contract, but in a couple years, he'll be up for an extension. I mean, we probably all kind of like Josh Giddey. At some point, he's probably going to be a max player or at least a rookie extension player. How about Chet? How about J-Dub, right? At the 4, Jalen Williams. Like, how about, they got Case and Wallace now. Dort's probably going to be in the trade piece. I mean, how many – and they've got all these picks, which means they're going to keep picking guys and retooling. But at some point, we've been asking for Sam Presti for years to cash in on these picks and go get a guy. And I feel like with this roster, you don't want to wait around till it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you got to maximize that. I don't want to be in a situation where you think, oh, these guys are just so young. We got 10 years. No, you really don't. You really don't have as long as you think you do. That's my only thing with OKC. But Trey, I had OKC as one of the picks. I'm actually surprised, Trey, when you were starting your sentence, I thought you were going to pick my team that I picked. I'm going to go with the team that we've talked about a lot because they made a big trade last year. I'm going to go with Dallas. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be a top 4 seed in the West. And here's why. The West looks heavy on paper, especially top heavy. Well, there's not 2 more top heavy stars in the league than Luka and Kyrie. And I think they're going to put up absolute buckets on people ad nauseum in the NBA in a regular season schedule where teams aren't game planning that hard for every single night like it's the playoffs. Are they going to be able to guard anybody? Probably not. But I really like Derek Lively. I really like the big. I like the Grant Williams pickup. Although, of course, I find Grant Williams in itself annoying. He's a good player, and he's a good perimeter defender, and he can guard multiple positions. I think that Dallas team is better constructed than they were at the end of last year, and I would not be surprised if they end the year as the 3rd or 4th seed. Because I think Sacramento is probably going to take a step back. I think a couple teams are going to be jockeying position. I think Dallas is going to be a top 4 seed. And I don't even think that's that crazy. I don't know what their projected win total is, but I would probably have to take the over. I just think they're going to play well. And I think Kyrie Trey will be on his best behavior. And I know we always talk about that. I think Kyrie will be on his best behavior for a year.
I hope so.
I'm so too. All right, let's go the opposite way. Let's get to an overhyped team. JP, give me a team that you're not rolling with this year.
I'm not high on Phoenix as much as everybody else is. They still don't have no clear point guard. They still don't have no bench. Like, yeah, you gonna try to be the Warriors when the Warriors were like a dynasty, but they actually kind of guarded people, and I don't see any of their top 3 guarding a soul.
Yeah, my thing with Phoenix, because I had them 2, Trey, and then I'll swing it to you. who's going to be their Draymond? Who's the dirty guy? You know what I mean? Who's going to do the dirty work?
Yeah.
Who's the sacrifice guy? Who's going to be the guy that's going to just, hey, I'll just facilitate, or I'll just grab rebounds, or I'll just play defense? Because at some point, is Bradley Beal going to say, hey, forget the scoring, I'll just be the facilitator and just kind of get in where I fit in? I don't see that yet. And that's the only problem. They're going to be able to get buckets and score. They're probably going to win 50 games. But like you said, JP, in a playoff series, when they're playing these other teams that are game planning, how are they going to be able to win close games and defend on the other end? That's going to be the problem for me. Trey, what about you? I know you weren't that high on Phoenix last year. I don't know how you feel about Phoenix overall, and then also who's your overhyped team?
I wouldn't necessarily say Phoenix is overhyped because, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't really heard a lot of people necessarily even choosing them for the finals favorites. Like, they kind of tiptoeing around it. They're saying, hey, we expect them to be one of the better teams out west. But it's not like when KD went to the Golden State Warriors and it was like a foregone conclusion. I think that we all kind of know that's not the case. I am kind of worried about how they will gel because last year, we saw that when Kevin Durant got there with Devin Booker, offensively, they were able to gel just fine, but defensively, they left a lot lacking, and that was pretty much their root cause of why they couldn't beat Denver. It wasn't their ability to score, but it was just their ability to stop anybody on the other side. And I don't think the addition of Bradley Beal and that bench shrinking down, I don't think that helps you in any way stopping other people. But maybe their goal is just to outscore people, and if anybody can do it, it's them. Mm-hmm. With that being said, though, the team that I think is kind of overhyped, hey, listen, you know how I feel about injuries, so I'm just going to have to say it. It's the Clippers.
But are they over? They're not really overhyped, though. Nobody's talking about them for the finals.
Yeah, nobody's talking about them for the finals, but everybody keeps saying, if they're healthy, they can be dangerous. And then everybody's kind of assuming that they're kind of going to get this James Harden deal done. And then with the addition of James Harden, they're kind of speculating, the Clippers, they might be a top 2 or 3 team out west. Even if, hypothetically, they get James Harden deal done, their bench is going to be a little bit weaker now. And now they brought in another old injury player.
He's not injury prone to the same level of those guys, though, to be fair. I have one thing, James Harden is going to play. Now, he's going to play on and off the court, but he's going to play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think last year he kind of had the injury there. I think it was the hamstring. But other than that, he's kind of been.
But the hamstring injury has been like a 2-year thing now.
I don't know. I think that 1 year was just him saying that so he could get traded.
I didn't want to say that, but I was like, let's not act like we know why the hamstring injury came up to begin with. But he did kind of hurt it in Brooklyn in that playoff series too. So, I mean, there is a part of that. As long as he comes into camp in shape, which, is a real question for James Harden. I think, first of all, he could only go to the Clippers. The Clippers seem to be the only team even interested in acquiring James Harden at this point. But I kind of see where you're coming from because it's the what if, you know what I mean? So you just don't really know with that team, but I guess we got to just see what happens. I would like to see them be healthy for at least one run, but, it stinks. Injuries stink all the time. But anyway, let's get to Trey. I'll just keep it to you. Give me a breakout player this year. Let's run through these pretty quick. Give me a breakout player, somebody, maybe a most improved candidate, maybe somebody we're just not thinking about at all.
I'm going to have to stretch my way to get around here because you're going to say it's not a breakout player, but I just think this player is going to be better than what we even thought they were going to be. It's their first year, but I'm going to have to go with Wemby. Just from what I saw with him, that first summer league game, it was bad. But that second game, and then what I've seen from him in the preseason, I mean, just his ability to move around the court, he's so skilled. His shot, I mean, it's a pretty good shot, like for a 7-footer. His ability to handle the basketball, I think he's going to be so much better than we even thought he was going to be.
So what's his ceiling year one? Are you talking about like so much better, like he could be an all-star?
That's what I'm going to say. No, if I was a betting man, I'm almost willing to bet some money that Wemby's going to be an all-star year one.
Okay, are you think he's going to be an all-star year one because the NBA wants him to be an all-star game year one? Or you know what I mean? Like,
okay, I see what you're saying. I think he's going to be the all-star in the sense, like, no offense, but you know how Drew Holiday was an all-star in years past, and he was kind of like a back-end all-star, but he was still an all-star nonetheless?
Yeah.
I think it would be something similar to that.
Oh, you think he's going to be like
Yeah.
Number 12 on the list.
Exactly. Like I think he'd be like number 12, like the last player on the list. But I still think he's going to be good enough where we're going like, oh man, this guy's an all-star. He deserves to be there.
Well, I think especially defensively, it's going to translate from day one. I mean, we
think
can all
scoring wise though. Like, have you seen him scoring? Like he's just so tall. Like it's.
You're right, and I think that the key is I think the Spurs are probably. It'll probably be smart for the Spurs to just play him closer to the basket, anything, because we don't want to see him do the tween behind the back stuff. That looks good for House of Highlights, but in the real NBA games, like they're not letting all of that stuff fly for the most part.
Oh no.
And so I mean, he can do it. It's great to have that capability, but like we're not trying to see him bring the ball up the court. But I think just his sheer, like everyone just freaks out as soon as he catches the ball by the rim. Like it's just, it's just crazy. So I think that's a big deal. I could definitely see that happening, and he could definitely be an All NBA defender if he stays healthy year one. I could totally see that happening too. JP, what about you? Breakout player?
This is a stretch because we did talk about our tierings, but I think it's gonna be Bridges for me. I think he's gonna step into that role with the Nets, and I think he might push 27 to like 30 a game this year.
I like that pick.
And he's gonna play defense.
And he's gonna play defense. I was gonna say he's really a real two-way. He's a real. I like Mikal. And you know what? The reason I like that too, he's in a good spot to do that too. They don't really have another guy to get buckets. If Ben Simmons is even a little bit of old Ben Simmons, we know he's not trying to shoot anyway. He's trying to just facilitate. So Mikal Bridges' job can only get easier. It can't get any harder than what it was at the end of last year when all the defense was basically game planning against him. So I like that pick a lot. I'm gonna go with Cade. I'm gonna go with Cade Cunningham. I think Cade Cunningham's going to have a breakout year. I don't know if he makes an all-star team. I don't know of anything like that. Detroit may not just be good enough for that. But I can totally see him being a 26-6 guy on a Detroit team that is a little frisky. That they're going to be tough to play. I think Monty Williams does well at developing guards specifically. And I think Cade Cunningham is the perfect guard for this day and age. 6'7", big and strong. Can facilitate, can shoot the ball a little bit, really good at attacking the basket, and he's got a really good demeanor. I'm just high on Cade. I've kind of always been high on Cade Cunningham. I mean, that's not that hard. I mean, he was the number one pick, so it's not that surprising. But I like Cade in the sense of I can definitely – and I think also he was out of sight, out of mind last year. You know what I mean? He kind of got hurt, so we didn't really get to see him take that sophomore leap that we like to see guys take. And I think he's still going to end up being probably the best guy that comes out of that draft. And I think we just got to see it. So I'm going to go Cade Cunningham. All right, lastly, let's go to, before we get to our championship predictions, let's go to the MVPs. So, we always kind of hit or miss with the MVP picks. So I'm not going to hold people too much to it because, guys got to stay healthy and stuff like that. But JP, who's your MVP pick? Who's going to be the guy this year?
I think it's gonna head back to Giannis. I'm still not picking Giannis for MVP.
It's a safe bet. It's a safe bet.
No, especially now that he got Lillard, so it's gonna be like, what you gonna guard? Lillard at 40 or Giannis at the paint? And if Lillard bringing the ball up and Giannis is running the floor, it's almost a guaranteed easier bucket for him. So I think he's gonna get a lot more easier buckets that way.
I can see it, and also too, Giannis does get better every year. Like he improves, he adds something to his game, to be fair, whether Lillard's there or not. So I can totally see that happening. Trey, what about you? MVP pick?
I'm going with a safe bet. I think it's the same person I picked like maybe the last 2 years. And I had to tag along with what you said. If this team has a good year like you predict them to, then I think this person wins the MVP, and that's Luka.
You always pick Luka too. You always pick Luka. At some point, it's got to be Luka's year. At some point.
Listen, that's the only reason I keep doing it. I'm like, you're so good. Like, yes, you had the stats there, and we know you had the talent there. At some point, it just all has to come together, and this team has to finish in the top 3 of the West. And I think if they do that, then I think in large part he is the MVP. But I could obviously be wrong if he doesn't really care and he comes in fat and out of shape per usual.
Well, I think he's taking that more seriously what it seems like. But the funny thing with Luka is you kind of always got to pick him because I feel like the year you don't pick him is the year he's going to actually put it all together and win it. So you got to actually you might at this point, Joe, you got to just stick with it every year until you win the MVP. Like it's just one of them things. I'm gonna go. I don't remember who I went with last year. I have it written down somewhere, but I'm gonna go with Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry's life got a whole lot easier with Chris Paul. We already know he likes to run around the whole gym and catch and shoot anyway. He's going to be on the ball less. There's no Jordan Poole to have to mentor and take shots away from him. Chris Paul not even looking to shoot at this point in his career. All Golden State really has to do, just because of Curry's reputation, is really just be a top 4 seed in the West, which I think is really doable with their roster and if those guys stay healthy. And Curry always puts up numbers. It's it's like the sky is blue. You know what I mean? Like he's always gonna put up numbers. So I'm gonna go with Curry as my MVP pick. Again, the thing with Curry is he's always got to stay healthy, right? I think that's fair, but I'm gonna go with Curry. I don't see anybody else. And remember, it's all about narratives too.
Yeah.
I don't care what Jokic does this year. They're not going to vote him for MVP again.
Why not?
Yeah. I just think it's voter fatigue.
Yeah, I would think so too. But I think that finals run might have taken that air out of some of that voters fatigue.
Nah, because LeBron did it when he was in Miami, and they still had the fatigue.
Yeah,
but a lot of people didn't like LeBron then. Like, we're gonna be honest.
Well, there's a lot of people. I'm not gonna say they didn't like Jokic, but there's a lot of people on the East Coast that were just like they thought Embiid was better.
And then that got shut up this year, and I think we're done with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Jokic still out here saying like he hate playing basketball, like he did not touch a basketball.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But look, side note,
and that's a part of that's a part of that narrative, man.
Those guys care about that stuff too. He's right. They care about that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just don't think they're going to vote him. Giannis is a couple years removed now, and he's kind of like off that pedestal because he lost and the way he lost last year. I can just totally see the Giannis narrative. And I'm just talking about if all their numbers were the same. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying if it's a close race, who would people go with? Obviously, if it's not a close race, those guys are all great. That I think the Curry thing can also fit a narrative as well, too. That would be doable. But you're right, Trey. Honestly, the one from all our picks, Luka's got the best narrative. People want him to finally win the MVP. So I mean, he probably has the best narrative of it. So if all things equal, it probably would be Luka. But he'd have to do a lot, and his team really hasn't ever finished really as a top 4 seed. So, we haven't seen that happen. So we got to believe it to see it. But anyway, let's get to finals picks. JP, I'll start with you again. Who you got going to the finals, man?
I got the Celtics coming out the East.
Okay.
And this is just wishful thinking, but I need LeBron with one more. So I got LeBron in there. So I would like that classic rivalry just because.
Okay. You got LeBron and the Lakers in Boston. I don't usually make you pick a winner because it's really hard to tell. You'd have to see like at that point. But I'm assuming if you want LeBron to win it, it'd probably be the Lakers. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to assume the Lakers. Okay. Trey, what about you?
I think I had the exact same picks.
Boston and LA, huh?
Yeah, and I'll give you some reason why. Because I think Denver, I think that the rest of the West have just gotten a little bit better. Like, even though we might say that Phoenix is overrated, I still think they're a little bit better this year. I think Golden State, without the Jordan Poole, Draymond, Cloud hanging over the locker room, I think they're a little bit better. I think LA would be a little bit better this year. Mm-hmm. Both LAs might be, if the Clippers, like you said, they can kind of stay healthy. And with all that being said, I think that West, I think they're just kind of going to feast on each other. You know what I mean? Right. Like all the good teams are kind of going to devour each other. And I think that LA has taken enough a jump with Rui and with D'Angelo Russell and with the jump that Austin Reeves has made in his career so far, where I think if he could stay healthy or healthy enough at least, I think I had them slightly, like 51.1% slightly favored to come out the West.
So it would be a situation you think they'd probably match up with Denver again in the conference finals or something like that and then just kind of go at it?
Yeah, and also what I'm kind of hinting at too is like I think that Denver might just catch a bad matchup. They might catch up a bad break just because of how deep the West is. Like they might face the New Orleans Pelicans where if Zion is healthy, they're really good. They might face Golden State Warriors or Phoenix, a team that can take them out even before they meet the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. I think that's a possibility. I just think these teams are kind of going to cannibalize each other.
And I will say this. If LA played Denver again, Coach Michael Malone did a little too much talking. Let's just say that. He did a lot of talking. He did a lot of talking.
Hey, man, I love the talking. You just got to back it up, but I love the talking.
Yeah, no, I love it too. But at the end of the day, he's not the one that got to guard LeBron and AD. Like I'm saying, like because you notice Jokic and Murray don't talk. They just go ooh. Like it was Michael Malone talking, and it was the owner talking. A whole bunch of people that don't got to dribble the basketball. So I'm like, you know how that stuff is. Like, you don't want to give these guys any extra motivation. And like, my goodness, was the Lakers living rent free in the Nuggets' head. Like they could not get over that
all day. They
you can't even tell them. I mean, the Nuggets had won the championship. You would have thought they lost.
Yeah. Right. Like it was ridiculous. Like it was cool like initially, but then it was like weeks later, you still talk about you had the championship parade, still talking about the Lakers. I'm like, bro, like it's over with. Like let it go. But you know, it's one of those things. You know, they use that to fuel them to win. I think the Lakers could use that to fuel them as well. Now, Trey, if Boston and LA play, I'm assuming you're going with the Lakers too. I mean, it's hard to tell now, but of course.
Yeah, both teams are healthy. I think I have to get an edge to the Celtics. I think it's just that deep. I think, like, if you name the starting five, it's Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Al Horford, Tatum, Brown. I just think that their starting five is just ridiculous.
I mean, you're not even talking about Al Horford. Behind might not even start. They could just start Derek White and Holiday and just go like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they could do a lot of different things. You're right, Trey. Put it that way. They got a lot of different lineups they can pull out of there. I'm gonna go with to close it out. I'm gonna go with the Lakers as well, but I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I think Giannis and Dame, if they can gel in time, and I still think Milwaukee's got to add one more piece. I don't know what that piece is, but I think Trey, you may have said it earlier. They're missing something. It's not. I mean, the Dame thing was great, but they're gonna need one more piece. Now we know they can add that in the trade deadline. We know they can add that in the buyout market, stuff like that. But they're missing one more. Now I didn't like Coach Terry Stotts, resigning right before the year. I thought that was odd. I don't know what's going on with that. And he was a big, Dame Lillard's old coach. So I thought that was a good matchup. And first year coach Adrian Griffin, that one's kind of iffy. But I'm always going to side with the players over coaching anyway. I'm going to go with Milwaukee and the Lakers. However, I do think the Lakers is a tough matchup if they played Milwaukee. That's the thing. I think the AD thing makes it really, really tough. Now, it's all pending if LeBron can stay healthy. But
Giannis and AD don't kind of batter each other out? I'm just asking.
Not yet. Nah.
And you know what? It depends which AD you get. Because the AD that I saw in the playoffs in that Denver series for a little bit and that Golden State series, if you get that AD, y'all know Giannis is my favorite player, but Giannis, they got some problems. Like that AD is it's like that. And I think that you got guys like Austin Reeves and potentially D'Angelo Russell. I know people are not a big fan of him, but they can really attack Dame Lillard and make things hard for him on the other end because Dame Lillard ain't really guarding nothing at this point in his career. So, I just think it's a tough matchup. And I just think LeBron seems to have Giannis's number in a lot of ways. And I know they're just regular season games, but I think in a matchup like that, where everybody's watching, I kind of lean LeBron. In that situation. So that Lakers team kind of feels like they have a kind of a synergy going. And I like what they did in the offseason, by the way, too. We didn't really talk about them because I'm sure we'll talk about them throughout the year. But I kind of like the moves they made. They were small moves, but even D'Angelo Russell, they may use him as a trading piece, stuff like that. I like the Lakers. I thought I'd never say that, but I like the Lakers. I like the Lakers if they get to the finals. But like you said, Trey, the West is a gauntlet. So, I mean, even JP, I know you're not a big fan of Phoenix, but I know you wouldn't be shocked if Phoenix just made it there. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be completely shocking. It's kind of hard to see this year. So anyway, man, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank I want to thank everyone so much for joining us once again. This was our official NBA preview. So let us know what you think in the comments. We're going to drop a bunch of these clips for you. They're going to be on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Let us know what you think about the player tiers, the MVP picks, the breakout players. If you disagree with anything or agree, let us know. I want to thank JP, of course, for coming on once again, man. We love having him on. We miss Jesse. We'll have him on next time. I'm sure he's going to have something to say about the player tiers. I already know he's going to have something to say. So whether he was on the podcast or not, he's going to have something to say about the player tiers. But anyway, I'll swing it to Trey.
Hey, I want to do one other thing. I want to put JP on the spot real quick.
Okay.
What did you think about the Drake album?
Ooh. That is on the spot.
Yeah, you don't have to answer.
No. I'm gonna answer it because I'm probably one of the select that's still listening to it because I got like about four songs I'm constantly listening to. Because if I just tell Siri, hey, play this album, I'm gonna skip to those four. But it's growing on me, and I feel like some people aren't saying that yet.
No, I'm not.
Y'all know the cycle. Y'all know the cycle. We're gonna complain about it in the beginning and then realize we like. By the way, JP, can we just clarify this real quick and then we'll get off? Trey really says that Drake don't have a great album. Please, come on.
He has a really good album, but I don't like Take Care was really good. I don't know if it was great.
It wasn't just really good. Nothing was the same. Wasn't just really good. Like it was great.
I heard that last week. I was sitting there like, I wanted to say something. By the time I listened to the episode, I was like, I've been too many days removed, so I'm gonna just let it go.
That's my only thing. You know, we might disagree on LeBron and Jordan and Kawhi Leonard, but Trey with this Drake thing, like he really, really like he's been like this since I've known him. He died on his hill about this Drake thing. He really Drake got a great album.
Good Kid, Mad City is a great album. I think we all can agree with that.
Yeah.
The Blueprint is a great album. I don't think Drake has anything on those levels out of his whole discography. Like, I think he has some really good albums. I think he has two in particular. Like I said, Take Care and then Nothing Was the Same. I think those are really, really good. But great? No, I don't think so.
I just don't see how you don't. I guess we would have to like go through a track list another time, but like I don't see how you don't like even if you just pick one of the two, like I don't see how you listen to that and be like that's not a great album. Like I guess I don't know if you're comparing to the other ones or but like there's not even like really very many skips on those albums to me.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess that's what I'm confused about, and I think some of them have aged well. To be honest too.
I would say that's normally how I judge it based on how it ages, but like I said, those are really good albums. So like I think we're gonna age well. I'm not gonna say that they didn't, but I just.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you put it in your regular rotation? For like a little while, maybe just like one of them, and just see how you like feel about it. Like you go through your regular routine, like whether it's at the gym or at work, whatever you normally listen to music. Like I feel like you got to give it that to feel like did it really like hit for you again? Because I feel like that's the only way you would really. Because you said the aging thing is the most important thing for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's interesting. But anyway, Trey, close it out for us, man.
All right, but again, thank you so much for joining us today, JP. We really do appreciate you coming. You know, we always have to bring you on like during the middle of the season. We will bring you back on to discuss what's happening in the NBA. Hopefully LeBron and the Lakers are looking good, you know, for you and me.
I know we can brag then.
And if they not, I'm gonna be here. So
I know. We know. We don't hear about it. Because you get tired of hearing about the Lakers all the time.
I do. I really do. I can't even hide it. I really do.
Hey, well, we could be here to talk our jump. But until then, man, we really do appreciate you coming. And we really do appreciate everybody listening. So until next week, peace.